Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. We'd like to start out by having Mr. Ramsdale give the oath of office to our newly re-elected board members.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you done?
I am busting all over my mouth. That's okay.
We're not telling anybody.
We're gonna make this really official. Raise your right hand if you want. I state your name,
I, John Aikman,
having been elected to the office of school board member,
having been elected to the office of school board member,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
State of Wisconsin.
and will faithfully
And will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties of said office
discharge our duties of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
May he help you. That is all for today.
Congratulations, new board members, or re-elected board members. While I'm in charge, I'd like to say a few things.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. I would be accepting nominations for the office of President of the School Board of Beloit.
I'll nominate John Acom.
We have a nomination for John Acom. Any other nominations? Missy? We have a nomination for John Winkleman. Nora?
I'll nominate Shannon Charmer.
We have a nomination for Shannon Charmer. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? I was told I have to say this 3 times. So is there any other nominations? One for each nomination. So with that, nominations are closed. We do it by ballot. Todd.
Congratulations again, Madam President.
Wait a minute. Where are the votes, Todd?
Right here. Is it a roll call? I have to tell them?
No.
You just want to verify that that is the majority. Okay, 3, 2.
Has to be a majority, right?
Needs to be a majority. Well,
So we have one board member with 3 votes and 2 board members with 2 votes. You have to have a majority of the board with 4 votes. So therefore, we do it again.
do it again.
Okay, we're going to do it again.
I get one. On the pink ballot. From the accounting firm of.
We do have a winner.
Congratulations, Shannon.
Todd was right the first time.
My duties are now relinquished to the new president, who was the old president.
It's your last chance to say anything.
I do have a few other things. Tasha,
That's my twin brother.
Thank you, everybody. At this time, I would ask for nominations for the position of the election of vice president.
I would nominate John Acom, vice president.
Michael, thank you.
I would nominate Michael.
I'll decline. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations for vice president? And for the third time, are there any other nominations for vice president? At this time, I will close the floor for nominations of vice president. And at this time, may we certify by an oral vote our recognition of vice president, as there is only one nomination? Absolutely. So by a vote of acclamation, all those in favor of John Acom, vice president, hereby say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Congratulations, John.
He's in the right seat.
You don't have to move. And your cake is gone.
That was my primary credential, wasn't it? Hey, he's in the right seat, let's vote for him.
Outstanding. At this time, I would accept nominations for the election of secretary.
I would nominate Michelle Shope.
Are there any other nominations? And for the third time, are there any other nominations for the position of secretary? At this time, I'd like to close the nominations for secretary, and all those in favor of an acclamation of affirmation of Michelle for secretary, please hereby say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed?
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
Absolutely so. Thank you, Michelle. At this time, I open the floor for nominations for the position of treasurer.
Nominate John Winkleman.
Are there any other nominations? Again, are there any other nominations? At this time, I would, don't get too far ahead of yourself. At this point, I would like to call for an acclamation of our approval of John Winkleman for the position of treasurer. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion does carry. At this point, I would like to open the floor for nominations of the position of clerk. Keep in mind that this position cannot be held by an individual who is in their last year of a 3-year term for the board per board policy, which means everybody but Nora Gard and Michael Ramsdale would be available for this position.
I would nominate Missy.
Any other nominations? I would like to nominate Mark Rand. Any other nominations? Seeing none, I'll close the floor for nominations.
Just whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
There's the winner. Missy, congratulations.
Congratulations, Missy. At this point, we are at the point on the agenda for the board president appointments. The first appointment is the appointment of the CISA 2 representative. Nora, would you be willing to accept the appointment of the CISA 2 representative on behalf of the Board of Education?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. And does that need to be a formal motion and approved by the board, Michelle?
They used to send me all the paperwork that said it did, and this time all I got was the sheet that's in your packet, so.
Right.
Can we move?
Absolutely. I didn't see it in the packet, but I would definitely think that it would be in good nature to do so.
Madam President, I would move that we appoint Nora Gard to be the CISA 2 representative.
I was second.
Discussion, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes. All those that affirm Nora signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Thank you, everybody. Next, we are at committee appointments. I'd like to start with committee chairs. John Acom, would you be willing to serve as the committee chair for the curriculum committee?
Yes.
John Winkleman, would you be willing to serve as the finance chair?
Yes.
And Nora Gard, would you be willing to serve as the policy personnel chair?
Yes.
I would like to move now to committee appointments. For curriculum, Nora Gard, would you be willing to serve as a member of the curriculum committee?
Yes.
Missy Henderson, would you be willing to serve as a member of the curriculum committee?
Yes.
And it's my understanding that all three of you are eligible and willing to meet at the 4 o'clock time period, and I have to honestly say that that was one of the reasons, as well as the interest of the individuals, for selecting you for that position, as I think that will help us with the flow of our meetings. So thank you to all for willing to do that. Moving on to the finance committee. Michael Ramsdale, will you be willing to be a member of the finance committee?
Yes.
And Mark Rand, would you be willing to serve as a member of the finance committee?
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to policy and personnel. John Winkleman, would you be willing to be a member of the the policy personnel committee?
Absolutely.
And Mark Rand, would you be willing to be a member of the policy and personnel committee?
Yes.
Thank you all. Moving to WASB delegates. We had a lot of interest here. And John Acom, would you be willing to be our WASB delegate?
Yes.
And Nora, would you be willing to be our, I apologize, Nora. Michael, would you be willing to be our WASB delegate alternate?
Yes.
John Acom, are you willing to serve on our nutrition committee?
Yes.
And Nora, would you be willing to continue on the RCAA governance board?
Yes.
For the Liquor Commission, we have currently a representative from the district who does serve for us on that capacity. But we did have 3 members that signified that they did have an interest. So I'm going to open this up to Nora, myself, and Mark, and if any of us, I'm already going to decline, If either Nora or Mark, if you have an interest in serving on that commission, I'd be happy to have you serve on that. Otherwise, I would like to recommend that we continue on with our administrative individual in that capacity.
I have no
I have no interest.
All right. Steve, I would ask at this point that the board does recommend that we continue on, and I believe that's Mr. Smullen who is currently representing us on that board. For library board, Ms. E., would you be willing to continue on as our library board representative? And Michael Ramsdale, would you be willing to be our employee relations representative?
Love it, all day.
Such excitement. I'm on pins and needles there. Pandemic planning, I would like to appoint myself to that position. Technology steering committee, Mark Rand, would you be willing to serve in that capacity?
Yes.
John Acom, would you be willing to serve as our Merrill Community Revitalization member?
Yes.
I would appoint myself to the Janesville Beloit Human Relations Board as well as the CETA Board, although I'm not certain that either are currently active boards. But if they do meet, I'm willing and ready to help. The remainder of the appointments are those appointments that shall be made during the next committee meetings, as they are committee chair appointments. Thank you, everybody, for your willingness to help serve on the board. With that, we are adjourned. In our business meeting,
I mean, I'm fine with adjourning, but
thank you. I got ahead of myself. Thank you, Mr. Ramsdale. At this point, I would like to call to order. Look, I even have the gavel. Whoa. I almost hit the cake. We almost had frosting. It's going to be a wild meeting here. I'd like to call to order the business meeting for this evening. May I have an approval of the agenda?
So moved.
So look at all that excitement now. It has been approved and seconded. All those in favor? And those opposed? John Acom, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Joe, please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Rand for our announcements.
Thank you, Ms. Sharmer. April announcements. The School District of Beloit is hosting a special presentation on the proposed state budget and its effects on public schools this Wednesday, April 24th, beginning at 7 p.m. at the Beloit Rotary Center. Speakers will discuss the district's budget, programming, community partnerships, voucher facts, and the effects such an expansion will have on local taxes in school districts. Coming up this Friday, April 26th, our City of Beloit Arbor Day celebration will be held at Robinson Elementary School. We'll have a program of speakers and special presentations, including the participation of our district students. The ceremony begins at 10 a.m. on the Robinson School grounds located at 1801 Cranston Road. Next week, we invite parents to take part in a presentation on preventing and responding to cyberbullying, featuring guest speaker Dr. Justin Patchen, co-director of the Cyberbullying Research Center and associate professor of criminal justice at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. This very informative event will take place in the Beloit Memorial High School auditorium on Wednesday, May 8th, beginning at 6:15 p.m. Plans are being made for the annual School District of Beloit BEA retirement reception set for June 2nd from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Beloit Country Club. The event is open to the public, and we hope you'll join us to celebrate the years of service these staff members have given to the students of Beloit. Details will be posted on our district homepage, beloitschools.net. This concludes April's announcements.
Thank you, Mark. We are at the point on the agenda for recognition. We're now at the point on the agenda for recognitions. So Melissa, would you please join us at the podium?
We have one very special recognition tonight, and I am so excited about this one. I would like to ask Jesse Porter, a student at Beloit Memorial High School, to join me at the podium, as well as Tasha Bell, our equity coordinator.
Hey now.
This is another one of our model Purple Knights here. Very excited to present him tonight for his achievements. He is a junior at the high school, and he has earned a spot at the Stanford University High School Summer College Program. The program allows students to earn college credit for courses taken throughout an 8-week program over the summer. And Jesse is no stranger to experiencing challenging academic rigor, having taken courses at the high school that were offered, such as physics, advanced placement U.S. history, trigonometry, and advanced accounting, to name a few. Some of those classes give a lot of people fears and things, and he tackled them and did them successfully. In fact, he has a 4.0 grade average with all of this. In addition to balancing his studies, he has a job at Papa Murphy's and multiple activities, including basketball, football, Future Business Leaders of America, and student advisory. Some of the honors he has received includes earning academic all-star status, of course, Beloit City Council honors, Upward Bound Dean's List, and he's a member of the National Honor Society. He has advanced to national level at FBLA competitions. He was named captain of both football and the basketball teams his freshman and sophomore years. And because of all of this, his high school academic performance and his activities, Jesse received a partial scholarship to that program at Stanford. Here to tell you a little bit more about him is Tasha Bell.
I think Jesse's resume is better than a lot of ours already. Jesse is one of those students, when you meet, his smile is just contagious. Next thing you know, you're hugging him in the middle of the hallway. Not that I've done that, but he will tell you it's okay. It's okay. When Amy called me to tell me that Jesse had made it into the Stanford program, why not? Why wouldn't he? I wasn't surprised. Of course Jesse would do it. Of course Jesse would take on a challenge such as this to say, all right, this is going to be a lot of money, but I need to prove to myself that I can do it. He didn't shy away from this chance, which makes me and all of us in this room very proud. He applied, he got accepted, he did all the due diligence to get into the program, and now he's working on his community support to help him cover his tuition. With that, I'm going to let Jesse say a few words.
First of all, I'd just like to say what an honor it is to be here and thank all of you for having me. And I'd like to thank the people who have helped me get here, my parents and people like Tasha and other people from the district. And I'd just like to talk a little bit about this opportunity, what it means to me, and how the school district helped me get here. I didn't start off in the school district. I started off in private school up through 8th grade. And then high school hit. I came into Beloit Memorial. It was a bit of a shock, you know. I went from a school with one hallway to a school with 4 floors that I could get lost in 2 seconds. So it was a shock, but more than anything else, it was an opportunity for growth, and not just an academic growth, which it definitely was. I found teachers willing to help me, who were willing to go out of their way, but I found it more a growth as a person. I found more out about myself. I met new people. I developed, and that's really what school is all about. And I think Stanford and this opportunity there is just another opportunity for more growth. I get to go there. I get to learn from some of the greatest professors in the country at one of the greatest institutions. And I hope to not only learn academics, but to learn about myself and to learn about the world. And I hope to bring back what I learn to my peers, hope to inspire and motivate them that just because things are hard and they seem out of reach, to never be afraid to dream big, and that just because it's improbable doesn't mean it's impossible. And so I'd just like to thank all of you again, because this is an opportunity that couldn't happen without the help of the school district and the community. But I am here to ask for more help. And I appreciate any help that you guys could give me from you yourselves and from the community, and I appreciate everything. Thank you.
Before you go, this is exactly the kind of student we like to see at Beloit Memorial High School. We're very proud of you, and you display the Purple Knight spirit perfectly, and we know that you're going to represent us very well at Stanford. So very proud of you. And I get to be the one to present this on behalf of the board, and it's awarded to you for displaying outstanding Purple Knight character and exceptional academic performance, earning a Stanford University Summer Program Scholarship. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. And Jesse, on behalf of the board, I want to say congratulations and thank you for going out there and representing Beloit and showing not only to your fellow students and to your educators that have helped and mold and grow you here, but to the district and to the city as well for everything that that Beloiters can become and for everything that we do have to offer here. And you truly emulate what Beloit Memorial has to offer and what we can, and dream big as you are. And those dreams are endless. So congratulations to you and to your family. I know you couldn't be here without them. You're going to tear it up out there, and we're very proud of you. Thank you. Steve.
Jesse, congratulations, and you certainly represent your family and our community well. I guess one of the questions we'd have is, what kind of an expense is this for you, so that it would help us understand some of the needs that maybe you, or some of the burden that this is going to put on you?
Jesse, can we have you go back up to the podium? Otherwise, those viewing at home won't be able to hear you. Sorry.
Because it's an 8-week program, and it's real Stanford credit that I'll be earning, it's real Stanford tuition as well. So I have a partial scholarship, but after the partial scholarship, it's still about an $8,000 that I'm going to owe Stanford. And so I'm just trying to get as much as I can, because this is not an opportunity that I want to pass up. This is something that can help shape my future. And it's something that I don't want to look back on and wish that I had done more to ensure that I could be there.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. And thanks for sharing, because that'll give us a lot better perspective, and those hopefully at home that are watching as well. Great. Best of luck.
All right.
And keep us posted.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that, we're at the point on the agenda where if there are any citizens or delegations that would like to speak to an area of interest that is not included on tonight's agenda, I would ask that you would rise and move to the podium, because there's a bunch of legalese that we would need to read at this time. I know there's a plethora of you in attendance this evening, but I see nobody making a beeline for the podium. So at this point, I'm going to move forward then to Superintendent's report to the board. This time we have something exciting for you. We have a construction update that has a little bit different flavor to it this evening. With that, Mr. McNeil, please.
I just want to introduce to the board and the community John Williams from Gilbank Construction. We thought it would be interesting, actually, Shannon's suggestion to possibly bring in some of the local contractors that are working for us. John and his boss, Tom, who's probably on an island somewhere, graciously decided that they would be able to go first this week and get prepared and kind of just update us on all the things they're doing. So thanks for coming, John.
Well, I have a little presentation. It's mostly pictures, but I've told I have like 45 minutes, so. No, look, I think I can fill. I was told I can fill like 5 to 10 minutes, so I can accomplish that, I think. So I guess, again, I'm representing Gilbank and, of course, the school district with Gaston Elementary and Merrill Elementary. Let's see if we can get this to work. First, I guess this is just a picture I liked, and so I put it on there. I thought it was neat as far as to look at kind of where we're at in construction and Bray's renderings that they did way back when you guys were looking at doing these additions. And I enjoy it just because it's what they can do with the BIM modeling and all that. It's very interesting to me to see, the vision they had and then it actually be built, and they really look pretty much identical. Schedule, everything is going great schedule-wise. This just kind of shows as a progress bar, kind of shows where we're at schedule-wise. We're into finishes, so we're right where we anticipated being schedule-wise, which is great. I think that's says a lot about the district, says a lot about us and everybody involved in the project, to be at this point and still be on schedule. So we're in the finishes, gym equipment's in, lockers are in, we're doing ceilings, mechanical finishes and things like that. You know, of course, we have the summer schedule that's gonna come up that it'll enable us to get outside and do the rest of the flat work. We have a drop-off area yet, the new drop-off area, and some things that need to get tied together once the kids are kind of out and the staff is gone. We're also looking at relocating some of the staff come the end of next month, beginning of June, into some areas and kind of free up some space and work with Jeff and his staff to start moving some things over and enabling us to get into the existing school to start the remodel. So here's some more pictures of the east elevations, which I think is a great looking building. You can see the stairwell has the large curtain wall, the new aluminum storefronts. Just it's got, it definitely has some curb appeal from the east side. It looks very nice. West side as well. East side personally is my favorite. These are just some more pictures showing some of the interior finishes. The toilet rooms are coming together, partitions, things like that will be going in this next week. Most of the porcelain is hung. The epoxy floors are into the kitchen, the dry goods storage, and kitchen equipment's going in next week, as well as some aluminum storefront interior entrances. Just a few more pictures of gymnasium, lockers. We have also the mechanical bay, which I think will make a lot of your maintenance staff very happy. It's very large, it's easy, all new equipment. I mean, you have space to work on it, which makes it great. There's also access to the roof in a new mechanical room. And of course, this is the actual logo that you see in the previous. That's the actual logo. That's just an up-close picture of the logo that's actually in the gymnasium, the new logo. So, which looks really neat. It's about, I think it's almost 8 foot wide. This is another neat thing that the staff and our staff, mainly Katie, the principal over at Merrill, she's kind of thrown this together with our staff, with Ron Larson, who's our job super, who we're very fortunate to have. He may be, when he retires from construction, maybe he'll have a job here. He really enjoys it. Like I said, he's on something like 18 tours he's given. Basically, the kids have this paw pat that they get from their teachers for good behavior and things like that. And then they gain the 15 of them, and then they have things they can choose from, and a lot of them choose the tour of the addition, which then, like I said, Katie can take up to 4 kids. I think 90% of the time she attends, either that or a different staff member does. But basically Ron walks them through and they go through and he answers any questions. A lot of times they take their tablets and document stuff and take video of it. And I think they're gonna do some video editing and actually create some type of video at the end of it. And this, I don't know, a lot of you have probably seen this, but this was just the article that was in the Beloit Daily News about Josiah, and that's actually our job super, Josiah, and I believe that's Katie, and I'm not sure who the other person is. I'm sure it says in the reading there. But if you haven't read the article, I think it's really neat, so I would definitely encourage you to read it. It's still online on Beloit Daily News, so check it out. It has been a very popular thing, and I mean, everybody at school's enjoyed it, and our staff has enjoyed it, so. And this is just a quick graphic with kind of just a quick of showing where money is and how much, because I know local was a large, going into the project, it was very important to utilize a lot of local businesses, which I think we've successfully done. Merrill, you can see about $2.4 million, or 55% of the contract has been local, or DBE, disadvantaged business. Same thing with Gaston, actually it was a little larger, 2.9 million. Has gone to local business. And keep in mind of that other percentage is there's a lot of trades that Beloit doesn't offer locally, so, and that makes up a lot of that percentage. go back on this one thing. There is, and I thought it was great, and I shared it with Steve before, is there are actually some local businesses that, I mean, they're actually, as far as their summer and their work schedule, are getting towards the peak of what they, you know, as far as being full and having, you know, their summer and fall scheduled. And the last slides are Gaston. We're just going to be getting started out to Gaston. So we have, all utilities have to be relocated out there. So we're currently trying to get all utilities relocated. This is actually poured now, the transformer's set. Alliant has run the new gas and electrical service. Fiber optics got to be relocated, AT&T and Charter also. So we're kind of just in the stages of getting the site ready to where we can excavate and have these things out of our way. And we'll have a transfer of power here, hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks, which will take the new transformer and serve the existing gear, but at the same time allow us to get the old services kind of out of the way. And the schedule for Gaston is, it's scheduled to be complete 2014. The remodel, there's not much remodel going to happen this summer, just because a lot of the remodel is going to become new office space and not necessarily classrooms. It's offices. So they can't, there's just no way to take over those classrooms and then lose them. So the majority of the remodel will be the summer of 2014 at Gaston. And I believe that is the last slide.
Thank you, John, very much. Are there any questions from board members or comments? Mr. Winkleman, please.
Thank you, sir. This was great. So help me just, because your graphic on local. Now, is there anything in particular that we don't have in the community? You said there's parts that, there's construction folks that we don't have in Beloit. Just what jumps out? I'm just curious as to what's not here in town.
Yeah, we're fairly limited. There's a couple contractors for plumbing that are local.
Okay.
Same thing goes with HVAC.
Okay.
Electrical, there's a plethora of good local contractors for that. Some other trades, we actually involve steel erection and steel fabricators, local steel erection, steel fabricator. Some of the gym equipment, things like a lot of the specialty type items. A lot of the meat of the projects are local.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Steve, please.
You know, I just want to thank John again and Tom Gilbank. The partnership that we have had with our local contractors have all been good. And John has been outstanding to work with, and Gilbank Construction has been amazing. So we really appreciate the partnership we have with you, John, and the work that you guys have done.
We definitely appreciate it and are grateful for the opportunity. So, thanks.
On behalf of the board, I also want to say thank you, and thank you for offering to go first. And it gives our viewers and the board a little bit different perspective. We've been hearing great updates every month now for nearly the last year. So I think having yourselves and our other contractors and hopefully moving to some of our suppliers and subcontractors over the next few months is also going to give our community the awareness of the support, as you showed in your one slide, showing how much support that we are getting from our local businesses and how much of their taxpayers that are going back and investing into our local community members. So thank you for starting us off and giving us a great opportunity to see exactly where we are in our 2 schools. So with that, I would like to move to the reports of the board. First, we have our student board member report, who unfortunately cannot be with us this evening. So we're going to jet right forward then to committee reports. And first up, I have Finance, Transportation, and Property Committee. And John Winkleman, could you assist us with that this evening?
Sure, I can assist us with that. So we
Thank you.
had a wonderful meeting on April 9th. We met and talked about purchase orders, and we did that quickly. And then when we talked about budget adjustments, so budget adjustments you're going to see tonight, and just for those that are learning about that, normally in the past we've done budget adjustments maybe once a year, twice a year, kind of towards the end of the fiscal year, and it meant that in this case Janelle's staff would gather all that up, we'd put it into a big document, we'd try to digest it and understand what that is. So Janelle's proposed that we try to do that monthly, so that we stay up with it, we know where we are, we know what's coming in, and we know what's being changed. Often these are grant informations, additional monies usually coming towards us, or some kind of change that's happening, and I think we agreed that makes sense as well for the board to know when those are happening. So you're going to see these as monthly if necessary, but probably every other, or at least that much. So that's new, and I think probably a very good thing. We spent some time talking about audit services. As you know, the board is audited every year, and so we went out with an RFP, and we are going to recommend Wagner as their change in audit services for next year. That'll come up in our business items. We spent some time talking about the food service request for proposals RFP. So that's another one that's this year. Janelle and team has been RFPing all over the place. And so that has been very productive for us. We are almost done with the food service proposal, and that will come forward in the next meeting. But there's been a good process. RFP for food has to go through Department of Public Instruction, which is a little different than some of the other ones. Has to get approval from them, then it can come to us, then it can go out, then it gets reviewed by us, and surprisingly or not, it has to go back to DPI for review again before we could issue it. So that's, I think, where we are right now, is probably on its way to DPI or waiting for DPI. Janelle has come to us as well with a request for proposals for office supplies. Kind of step back and as we are all tightening our budgets and looking at a variety of things, looking at the opportunity to do some common purchasing on office supplies. And so that will be coming to us for in the future. We also, as a group, spent some time looking at activity cost review. And activities, the first pass was athletics and some extracurriculars. Very healthy discussion for those that were there, and it was a good eye-opener for some that maybe forget how much we do spend, and how much and maybe it's not spending either, maybe we should say it's investing, because if we think about how each of those activities attracts students and keeps them perhaps in our schools and connected to academics in good ways, as well as letting them test their skills, it's a positive thing to look at. But as we look at budgets, it's important to step back and look at those. We have looked at that. I think we'll probably come back to that as we look in budgets again. But we spent some time talking about that. There's a significant amount of money spent, and I think there's some ways that we can look at that and see what other people are doing. We did a waiver of rental fees for Rock Valley Conference, and that was our meeting for the night.
Thank you, John. Are there any questions for John? Seeing none, let's move forward then to curriculum and instruction. John Acom, please.
The Curriculum and Instruction Committee met on April 9th, and we looked, first of all, we're getting a monthly report now in terms of grants that are being applied for, grants that are applications that are being considered, grant applications that are being put together, that whole grant pipeline, which our hope is that will become an increasingly important part of how we finance our schools in times that are difficult. So we're working hard on that, and we're making progress on that. We also approved youth options. That'll come up later this evening. I think that youth options is an important thing to know about. Our school district pays the tuition at colleges, Beloit College, Blackhawk Tech, UW-Rock County, for courses that students are eligible to take, and these students will have exhausted all the courses in our high school, and these are courses that we do not offer comparables to. They're either in a different field like nursing, or they're at a higher level, and this is an opportunity that one of the many opportunities that is available in public education, and presumably will not be available in terms of private voucher schools. Nutrition curriculum. We approved an entire nutrition curriculum. As everybody, I think, on this board knows, I believe strongly in the importance of good nutrition. I believe good nutrition leads to lifelong habits that produce good health, longevity, and have a more immediate benefit in terms of the fact that kids who are appropriately fed tend to do better in school. That nutrition curriculum is in place. It was largely hand-built by our staff. There aren't a whole lot of turnkey ones out there. It starts at kindergarten and goes on up into middle school. And we're very pleased about that. That will be voted on also tonight and implemented in the fall. And finally, we updated the diagrams for the Human Growth and Development Unit in grades 4 and 5, and checked those. I wanted to make sure to check those against our policy to make sure that they conformed with our Human Growth and Development policy. They do, and so we passed that and moved it on to the school board tonight for consideration, and that was our meeting.
Are there any questions for John Acom? Seeing none, let's move forward into policy and personnel. Nora Gard, please.
The Policy and Personnel Committee met on March 26th, and we voted on, or we approved personnel recommendations for the full board on March 26th for the business meeting. On April 9th, we met. We read a number of policies in the 700 series that had to do with support services, which include things such as building and grounds and maintenance. And we also looked at some policies in the 400 series that have to do with student issues, or policies, I should say. And tonight we are going to be looking at some of those policies as because some of them were first reading and some were second reading. We also talked a little bit about the employee handbook, and we also talked a little bit about our legislative day up in Madison on April 10th. And then future items that our committee will be discussing are policies on nutrition and food services, tech ed diplomas, and high school graduation requirements. And I'd also like to say I'm very pleased to be Policy and Personnel Chair again, because we probably got through about maybe one half of our policies last year, and hopefully we'll be able to get through the other half in updating and reviewing and deleting those policies that are no longer relevant. So, are there any questions?
Are there any questions for Nora? Seeing none, I would like to move forward then with the consent list.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. We are now at business action items, first one being B, budget adjustments, please.
Move approval.
Seeing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Audit Services RFP Award.
Move approval.
Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? And Office Supply RFP. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Next up, Youth Options for first semester 2013-2014.
Move approval.
Discussion?
Please.
John, please.
So, this is a great program, and in many ways, I think what started out many years ago as a big concern and at times a big cost has kind of really leveled off in many ways for us to be able to look at what we're doing, and I think that's important that people know that. So, you know, if you people read the packets and see what they do or know what's happening, so if we look at even this year, 2012-13, we anticipated $72,000 in cost, but at this point we're at 11.5. So it really depends on whether students can get a class, whether it matches with their schedule at the high school, whether it's a class is open for them and available. So it oftentimes in the anticipated column looks drastic, but it has not been panning out that same way. And in essence, we get to serve some students and not at an overriding cost.
Thank you, John. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion does carry. Nutrition curriculum, please. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, update on diagrams for human growth and development for unit grades 4 and 5. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Next up, we have Policy 431, Rule 1DC, Student Attendance Procedures for first reading. And please refer to the update that was actually on our desk as we came in this evening and not the one in your bound packet.
Move approval of revised.
Second.
Discussion? John Winkleman, please.
So I think, as I read this, I am understanding perhaps why we're changing this. I certainly understand that there's some outside pressures to change this. I will state that philosophically, I don't agree with it. But I understand it's what the state is expecting, it's what others are doing, it's kind of coming down kind of from DPI, and we either live with what we're handed, which is, I'm gonna say, we're being handed this from Madison. This is not necessarily, I don't believe, as a local board member, something that most local boards would say we wanna do. But it's coming that if you don't follow this, then you're penalized all over the place, and it shows up in points off your grade, which is another whole topic that I won't even get onto tonight. So, but people need to understand that comes from other places and affects what we do. This is one of those unfunded, uncontrolled kind of mandates that come with it. So I appreciate staff going through that. Philosophically, I'm opposed to it. You may even hear a no vote from me. I understand why we're doing it, but I'm really having a hard time swallowing it.
Thank you, John. Any further discussion? John, I'd like to echo your concerns. I would also like to express that while this is what's being mandated to us from the state, it does not change the fact that we do have favorable expectations for opt-in things such as proms, homecomings, and while it may be more lenient within the revised policy as presented this evening as being mandated from the state, the number of absences or tardies that one can have to attend prom is still very stringent, or homecoming, or any of those other favorable actions. So I agree wholeheartedly that I am resistant to making the change simply because I think it flies in the face of the education opportunities that we expect for our students. However, this is how our district is being graded, and I think it is unfortunate, but we do need to be on the same playing field as those others that we are being assessed or graded against. So with that being said, we are not lessening our expectations for our students within our district, and I commend our administration for holding the line and keeping that level of expectation for our students. Is there any further discussion? Otherwise, it's been moved and seconded. We'd be looking for a vote. All those in favor for first reading?
Aye.
And those opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. Next, we have policy 672.5, standards for performance and pay assurances for first reading.
Move approval for first reading.
Second.
Discussion. I would like to point out, on this policy, I guess I'm looking for a bit of clarification. I understand it's first reading, so it's going to go back to policy committee. I'm wondering if any of this language is potentially going to be incorporated into our handbook. So,
Contractor
Yeah,
language,
it's just
right?
for contract, for building contracts.
you're right. You're right. I apologize. I was thinking outside the box there. Okay. I retract that. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Thank you, motion carries. Policy 760, Rule 1, Food Service Program Guidelines for first reading.
Move approval for first reading.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Moving now to second readings. Series 700, Support Services Policies. First, we have 720 for Safety Program. Page 95.
So, Madam President, I would move, perhaps we could group a few of these together. Most of these have just been for review, right? So it's not significant changes as we go. If you don't wish to do that, that's fine. But Let me take us at least through, I'll move approval of 720 safety, 721 facilities, 722 accidents, 723 emergency plan, and I'll stop there, and then we can see where we go from there.
I was second.
Discussion? John is the maker of the motion and Michael is the seconder of the motion. I would ask if you would consider a friendly amendment to policy 721 facilities inspection in the fourth paragraph, where it reads, district facilities shall be inspected at least annually by the Director of Facility Services. I'm hoping we could add and safety coordinator, as we're referencing in policy 720 to that
Makes
list
sense.
as well.
Sure, yep, friendly
Accept.
amendment.
Thank you. And another friendly amendment in the last paragraph, where it reads further, the objective of the board and staff to develop. I would wonder if we would consider a proactive approach to safety as,
Yes, makes sense.
Accept.
great, thank you very much. And then finally, with policy 722.1, accident reports, we don't mention in here anything about our near misses. I would ask if you would consider as a friendly amendment at the end of the policy to add a line that would read, all near misses shall also be reported and investigated to assure the elimination of all hazards present
Accept.
or identified. Or
There's like a standard.
Is there a
Whatever the
standard-
standard
that,
language
right?
would
Is
be.
a standard,
Near miss is a standard language.
okay, thank you.
Yep.
That means something different to me.
Okay. Or whatever is comfortable,
General
but within
knows
the
what that
industry,
is.
near miss always means
Industry note, okay. yes,
understood.
Okay.
Very good. Is there any further discussion on the policies being presented for second reading? Seeing none at this point, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Thank you, motion carries. We are now at 723, emergency plans, and 723, Rule 1, emergency and disaster communication network, or any other motion that a board member would like to make at this point.
I would move 731 building ground security, 731 rule 1 guidelines, 731.1 rule 1 procedures for reporting loss, and 732 building and ground maintenance, and 732 rule 1 maintenance guidelines.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Thank you. Next up, we have energy management, policy 733.
Madam President, I move approval of energy management 733, 733 Rule 2, 734 integrated pest management.
A second.
Those are for second reading. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion does carry. We are now at policy 443.10, second reading for deletion of the policy.
Move approval of policy 44310, deletion.
Discussion?
Please.
John, please.
So yes, we are deleting, and I will reiterate this again, we are deleting the policy that talks about academic dishonesty. We are not deleting the concept of academic dishonesty. It will live in the student handbook, right? We're just trying to consolidate this together so that it can be with students probably in a better way than living in one of our policy books.
Thank you, John. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Let's move now to personnel recommendations, and please refer to the Exhibit A that was on your board, or on your table as you came in this evening, the
Move.
revised dated 4/23/2013.
Move approval of revised exhibit A.
Discussion.
Yes.
John, please.
Just a quick question, are we past our early retirement or retirement timeframes, or where are we at? We've talked about extending because we might need to.
You can extend until May 1st, think about extending further beyond that, at the request of the union.
Oh, okay. And just a note, significant, this is the time of the year when people are retiring, and so we're seeing retirements from, people have been here for 28, 35, 25, 40 years, 14 years, 41. So some significant retirements to our district, and they will be missed.
Definitely. Thank you, John. Any further discussion? It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion carries. We are now at the time on the agenda for items for discussion. First up, we have items of interest for consideration at future meetings. John, please.
Okay, not to be presumptuous, but I know we have to schedule a long ways out to get things to happen. But I would welcome, just personally, I would welcome kind of board retreat on where we are kind of thing. That was very effective last time we did that, and while we've all worked together and some of us in similar roles, I think it would be helpful to just step back maybe and kind of have that discussion at some point. So I think, Shannon, you've already talked about wanting to do that, and I would just echo my support if that's something you want to do.
Thank you, John, and that's an outstanding recommendation. I think in the last few days I've had a couple conversations with board members, and I think it's a time where we need to look at all of our unique abilities, and I think there are things that all of us do very well that perhaps we're not utilizing to the best of the board's and the district's potential. So I definitely welcome that, and I hope board members would be willing to do so. And we can talk about where we can all serve the district in our best and most unique abilities to the best extent. So most definitely. Anybody else for items for interest for consideration at future meetings? Missy, please.
Well, I had something that I forgot to say before about the energy thing. I just enjoy getting the notices from Kentwood and on our energy conservation, and he always seems so upbeat. So that I wanted to say that about the, and then for future things, senior project.
Thank you, Missy. Anybody else? John Acom, please.
Following up on what Missy said, we just got an email from Kent about the amount of money saved so far, therms and kilowatts and so on. And I think it would be useful to find a way, particularly in these televised meetings, to be able to share some of this good news that comes our way every day about small but important successes in our school district.
Thank you, John. Steve, please.
Good point, John. Kent and the company are going to be coming and doing their annual report to the board very soon.
Anybody else? All right, at this point then we shall announce the future board meeting dates. We have committee meetings on May the 14th, which will include finance, transportation, and property, curriculum and instruction, policy, and personnel. Also tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock at the Rotary Center, there will be a panel that will be discussing the proposed voucher program. 6:30, I stand corrected. I've heard 6:30 and I've heard 7, so I have, pardon? Right, you can always come at 6:30 and reserve your seat early for the exciting discussion that shall partake at the Rotary Center to discuss the proposed voucher program, independent charter schools, and the state financial support for public schools. We welcome everybody to that meeting. And next, our next business meeting shall be held here, May 28th, 2013. And before we adjourn this evening, I just want to thank everybody for all your support and everything that everybody does on the board and your commitment to the district. It does not go without being noticed by those within our district, and I know everybody goes above and beyond. So personally, I just like to say thank you. Steve.
I also want to take a moment and say thank you to our staff. We had a couple of pretty large tragedies over the last couple of weeks, one that could have been an incredible tragedy, and I just can't speak loud enough about the compassion and caring that our staff showed for the families and the kids and all those involved. So I just wanted people to hear that.
Thank you, Steve. And with that, folks, unless there are any objections, at this point we shall be adjourned. Note the time, it is 8:16. Phenomenal meeting, everybody, and with that we are adjourned. Thank you.